What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. So in this one we're going to be swapping out this cracked, completely obliterated transmission in the GTO. Alright, so at this point I basically have everything. I got the transfer case removed. The slave cylinder, it actually broke off the line, off the master cylinder on the clutch during the accident. So that's essentially removed. You actually don't have to take it off the transmission physically. I'm going to leave it on there. I got the exhaust off, the transfer case is off. So now I just got to pull both the axles out of it, and I already pulled the starter a little bit ago when I was messing with the turbo over here. So basically I think there's one more connector on it, which I believe is the wheel speed sensor, and then the axles, and then I just unscrew the bolts on the bell housing here, and they should be able to come right out. Hopefully it doesn't look like it, but hopefully there's nothing in the way that I'm gonna have to pull more stuff off to actually be able to pull it off. The output shaft on the original transmission out of the GTO, it had the teeth on the output shaft for the transfer case. It wasn't the same shaft. It was the new style, I think. At some point in 1992, they switched to a shaft with more teeth. So and then the transmission that I had, the spare that I thought that I was going to be able to install into the GTO, that one had the old style, so it was I think it's 18 teeth versus 25 teeth, but basically it wasn't gonna fit. So I could have just ran a transfer case with the 18 teeth input on it, but I know that the 25 teeth transmissions and transfer cases are a little bit stronger, so I went ahead and I sent out the transmission to get it gone through and to get the case replaced from the spare trans that I had, because those are actually all the same. But before I put the trans in, I will replace the rear main seal on the GTO, as well as I'll probably reseal that whole plate, because I can just pull the seal out and put a new one in, but I'm not sure if it's been leaking or not. You know, I don't want to have to go in there an extra time, take the transmission off again just to get to this seal. So I'll put a new seal in it, and I will reseal that the plate that bolts, that holds the seal. I'll pull that off as well and put some new RTV on there. So I'm gonna have to pull those bolts out, take the flywheel off, and then inside of there's a plate that has a seal on it. So here is the transmission, the spare. There's all the gears, all the shafts. So these came out of the spare transmission I had. There's the diff. This is the casing that was broken. It's a pretty huge hole in it. I will still weld this transmission, this casing, and I'll send this back out to get it all put back together, because I will definitely lose a bunch of this stuff if I don't do that. So we kept the bell housing from the GTO. This piece, I think, is the only piece he swapped out. Or actually, yeah, I think this is the only piece he swapped out, because I remember on the spare trans, this little seal cap was screwed up. So here's that plate that I was talking about. So I am gonna put, I gotta clean all that up and put new RTV down on here, as well as on this mating surface here. And before I take this seal out, which doesn't seem like it's very old, but before I take it out, I just want to make sure that this is right. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I don't have to go back in here taking this transmission off, because that's the worst part about doing anything, is having to do it again. So we're gonna do it right the first time so that we don't have that issue. I'm gonna start applying this RTV around mating surfaces on here. Now, I didn't have a seal install tool made specifically for this car. So what I did was I made one. This is just like a sour cream container. Usually I like to use a 2 liter, it's a little bit thinner, but I think this should work. So, you know, I've seen a lot of people just smash these seals, and you know, if it's not installed right, it's gonna leak, and getting to it is a big hassle. So, you know, you got to make sure you put it on right the first time. So yeah, what I do is, if I don't have a tool, a seal install tool, you know, it's got to be specifically made for this, because it's got to be that same size. Then I just cut one out like this, and yeah, whenever you're putting it in, just make it like a cone shape to where, you know, it's bigger past the seal, and then you put this over the shaft that it's going on, and then you could just slide, you know, the seal in like that. But before I do that, I'm gonna put some oil on here to, you know, make it easier to slide in so I don't rip the seal, as well as put the RTV on the mating surfaces there. So now it's time to install the transmission, but I think before I go ahead and do that, I'm gonna replace that rear engine mount. I have a feeling that it might be ripped because all of the other ones on this car were ripped, so that one's probably also busted. And there's not much room to get anywhere even near that with the transmission on and with the front end welded on, so I might as well just go ahead and see if I can get it out and replaced like this while it's taken apart.